Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to discuss the question on all of our minds, are we really in a recession? The economy right now is highly volatile and there's a lot of different things going on. So it's definitely hard to figure out what exactly is happening or where exactly the economy is heading. In terms of what we know right now, the White House recently published a mysteriously ambiguous press release explaining what a recession is and isn't. They sort of dance around that pressing question, and as politics go, they certainly love their half-truths and hollow acknowledgments. But that's not to say that you shouldn't go and read it yourself. In fact, there's some very valuable information in there, especially when it comes to figuring out what the government wants and what they're trying to avoid. So as you can see right off the bat, they're trying to direct our attention away from the technical definition of a recession, which is in fact 2 consecutive quarters of negative real GDP, and rather focus our attention on some of the more positive ways to measure a recession. So why exactly are they doing this? Well, Thursday of this week, July 28th, 2022, the BEA, the Bureau of Economic Analysis, will release what's called the GDP second quarter advanced estimate. And this is a metric that will tell us whether or not we've been in a recession for the past few months of this year. This is the metric that most people, business owners, and consumers will use to decide if we are in a recession or not. So if Thursday's number comes out to be negative, then what the government really wants to avoid is solidifying that pessimistic view that most of us already have about the economy. If we look toward the end of the release, we can see that the White House brings up what's called the SOM rule, which is one of the leading economic indicators of a recession. Basically, the SOM rule says that if the average national unemployment rate from the last 3 months is greater than or equal to 0.5% higher than the lowest national unemployment rate from the last 12 months, then a recession is imminent. However, what we see is that this is not the case at all. Our SOM number is significantly lower than that 0.5% threshold needed to indicate a recession. So if one metric says yes recession and the other metric says no recession, then what's really going on? Well, it depends on where you look. According to the SOM rule, we may not be in a recession right now, but if you look at GDP, there's a good chance that we were in a recession for the past few months. If Thursday's number comes out to be negative, then it's likely that people will begin to rein in spending and consumption. Business owners will start to cut costs. And that's because once that data comes out, the largest determinant of economic stability becomes the perception of that data. So that's where consumer sentiment comes in. Consumer sentiment is essentially a measure of optimism among consumers in the economy. And currently, we're about as optimistic as we were during the Great Recession, which is not good. The government's rhetoric or their perception of trustworthiness among the people is one of their most powerful tools when it comes to influencing the economy. This is one of the primary reasons why the government now is trying to steer our attention toward those more optimistic measurements. So the economy may be incredibly pessimistic right now, but consumers and business owners are not going to change their habits until they know for sure that we have a recession. So what the government really wants to avoid is stagflation. So we've already checked the record high inflation box, and with a recession potentially on the horizon, there's definitely been some alarms going off, and the government is trying to brace the economy for impact. So what do we need to know going forward? Well, the Fed is going to focus on price level before it focuses on recession prevention. And that's because it's a lot easier to get us out of a recession than it is to fix hyperinflation. This means that one of two things is going to happen. With a focus on price level, either companies will once again return to expanding, the economy will recover, or the data point coming on Thursday will be a recession wake-up call. Although things in the economy are not looking particularly well, especially after what we've talked about in this video, just remember that the economy is not going to fall apart after Thursday. And even if we have a recession, it's most likely going to be not as bad as we think. So just remember that there's always going to be a higher concentration of sort of that doom and gloom perspective in the media. Bad news gets clicks and views, so just keep that in mind. I know we covered a lot in this video. I hope you were able to find some value, gain some new information, and be able to make a decision for yourself. If you're able to find some value, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. It would really mean a lot to me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in next week's video.